Welcome to Garden Crossings. I'm Heidi. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a lot of the questions that you've had lately over the past couple videos that we've posted. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions, and then I'll be walking through the greenhouse to answer and show you the answers to the questions. First of all, people are wondering what temperatures are we keeping these greenhouses at, especially the ones that the employees are working at. So we'll take a look at that. We also will be looking at some of the gallon shrubs, what they are currently looking like. I know they're all sleeping right now, but people are kind of curious as to what is the size of the plants when they're dormant. Another question that we've had come across is how many employees do we have? And then also taking a look at the differences between being a commercial grower and being a direct-to-consumer grower. Along the way, I'm going to show you other various things that are going on today. But those are going to be three questions we're going to touch as we're taking a tour. So let's go ahead and take a walk through the greenhouse. Today the team is out here working in our gallon shrub area. These are all of our big leaf hydrangeas. So you can see that they're starting to drop their leaves. So the team's going through and just clearing off all those leaves. If there's any weeds, they're getting wet out. And then they're going to get, the floor will get all cleaned up, sprayed up to remove any of the, you see there's some algae and stuff, that's going to all get removed. And just get this space nicely cleaned up before they get set down again. So on average, the team is working in about 60 degree temperature right now. When they're not in the greenhouses, we turn the temperature down to about 40 to 45, with the exception of a few greenhouses that have plants that need it just a little bit warmer, and those greenhouses we set at about 50. So right now we're really not trying to wake the plants up too much. We're kind of still letting them be in their sleeping mode. But here in the next probably few weeks or so, the temperatures will get raised up so we can start actively letting these plants start to grow. So like I mentioned, right now we're in the big leaf hydrangea area, and we'll take a little bit closer look here at the plants. You can see how they're dropping all their leaves, so they're getting that all cleaned up. With the big leaf hydrangeas, we don't want to do any trimming because that may sacrifice any blooms for this coming spring and summer. We're going to head out to our potting barn right now and see if any potting is going on. I know they've been working all morning on it, so they may or may not be still potting out here. But what we're showing you right now in this picture is just some of the perennials that were planted in the last 2 weeks. So they're all nicely in rows, nicely planted, and just waiting for the heat to get turned on so that they can start sprouting and waking up for this spring season. So we had a question of how many employees do we have. At this time of year, we have approximately 25 part-time employees. Of that, there's about 7 of us that are full-time. And then when we ramp up in the spring, we will have upwards of 50 to 55 employees, most of which are part-time employees. So as we're heading out back here to the barn, it does look like they are cleaning up from the day. Oh, actually we do have one planting line still going. So when they're done planting, everything gets swept up and cleaned up because Rod does not like to have messy areas. But it does look like some planting is still going on, so let's just take a look here. And it looks like they're planting geum, totally tangerine. So just putting a little bit of soil in the pot, putting the plug in, and then packing the soil nicely around it. This machine is from the Silt Pro company, and this machine has been an absolutely major time saver when it comes to the planting that we do here around Garden Crossings. So this allows us to get everything planted in time so that it's all ready for spring shipping. A few pots that are waiting for some more plants to come in to get planted up. So these are our eco pots. These are our quart pots. This material that these pots are made out of, actually you can just kind of rip the bottom off, plant the whole pot in the ground, and especially with perennials, this is going to break down over time and just kind of decompose into the earth. So really it's a nice solution, especially for perennials, because once you plant a perennial, you really don't have to dig back into that spot again. Also, we have some gallon pots here that are waiting to get planted up, and these are for some perennials that will be grown in that gallon size container. Another viewer had recently asked to see what the gallon shrubs look like in the wintertime. So today I am actually in one of our evergreen shrub houses. So these are all plants that do not lose their leaves in the winter. They are all dormant right now, so they're sleeping essentially. So they're not actively growing. But this shows you what these shrubs look like when we put them to sleep in the winter. So the greenhouse we're in right now, it's called a coal frame, or a ground to ground greenhouse, which means the poles go from one side of the ground to the other. A lot of our shrubs are grown in this type of a greenhouse because we can control the temperature in here better than what we can in more of our open ranges. So if we need to keep them cold because maybe they're a spring blooming shrub, we like to keep those extra cold because we prefer that they bloom hopefully when you get them, opposed to blooming in the greenhouse before you get them. So that's one of the reasons why we do like to separate the shrubs out into the various spaces. So we have gotten a lot of snow lately, if you've watched some of our videos that we've been showing. And you can see here on the edge of the greenhouse, the snow is piled up. It's about 3 foot on the side there. At one time, it was almost probably about 5 to 6 foot on the side. So we definitely are starting to melt. It's actually raining today, which is creating a faster melting going on, which isn't all that great. But here, we'll take a look at some of the shrubs. We've got the sprinter boxwood, and you can see they're nicely filling out. And once we turn the heat on these guys, they're gonna really start to fill out even more. The strongbox holly. Across the aisle here, we've got the blue hollies, so the castle spire and castle wall will be coming up here in just a moment. Some squeeze box and some gin fizz. So certain evergreens grow at a much faster rate than others. Obviously your boxwoods and your hollies, we'll call those more average growth rate, where when we get into the arborvitaes, they tend to have a lot faster growth rate. So for example, here we have some of the arborvitae fluffy. They're already 2 foot tall. Some North Pole, they too are about 2 foot tall. And you can see they don't have the really bright green color going on right now. It's because they're kind of in their into a chilled state here in this cold greenhouse. The Thin Man. This is actually a pretty good picture of the Thin Man, so you can kind of see what they look like. Very narrow, tall arborvitae. That one was a very popular variety for us last year. American Pillar, also a very fast growing arborvitae. Both of those are part of our full speed of hedge collection. On this side here, you see some soft serve gold, and then some Cedar Rapids of the Chamaecyparis. So the plants are all right on schedule and looking just like we'd want them to look for this time of year. And like I mentioned, once we turn that heat on, things are going to really start to green up and put on new growth. So just probably in a few short weeks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, we'll start turning the heat on and get these guys back into its grow time. The greenhouse we're in now currently is just a little bit bigger than the one we were in previously. This too is a coal frame or ground to ground greenhouse. A little bit taller ceilings and a little bit wider for this particular one. So this here houses most of our panicle hydrangeas, and you can see how right now these are all bare with no leaves because they've all dropped their leaves in the winter time. They're all cleaned up, trimmed up, wet out, and just ready to be woken up at the perfect time of the season. So another question that was asked, are we a commercial greenhouse or are we a direct-to-consumer greenhouse? So another name for a commercial greenhouse, I guess, would be like a wholesale greenhouse. Another name for direct-to-consumer would be like a retail garden center. So Garden Crossings is a grower retailer. And what that means is we grow all of our own plants, starting off from baby plants, little tiny plugs or bare root. And then we grow all those plants on into the finished product, which you are seeing us right now doing a lot of planting and stuff. So that will all be a finished product around the beginning of April, end of March or so. So we do sell online. We are a mail order company. We ship plants all over the United States. And we also have our retail garden center, which is located in Zeeland, Michigan, where you can stop into our physical store and shop from us right off the benches. So the retail garden center usually opens up around the beginning of April, although in Michigan most people are not planting at that point. But at that point we do have some events that we have going on, planting parties, seminars, various things like that to get people excited for spring, for when they can start planting. So we do sell a very little amount wholesale. If we have a wholesaler come in, we do very little wholesale. Most of what we grow is with the intention of selling it directly to the consumer. A lot of progress has been made here on our expansion. Right now they're working on the back side of the shipping area to put a wall up there so that way the area can stay heated or cooled depending on where we're at in the season. And by doing so, we had to move a lot of control boxes and such off the area where you're seeing all those 2x4s and get them all situated here on one wall. So we're going to actually let Carter go ahead and tell us what he's doing and what he's moving, because I don't know what all these boxes mean. So we'll let Carter take it away.
So over in this area in August, I had to put in curtain controls for all of our ground-to-grounds we have outside. So then this morning I had to move it over about an inch because of the steel that they're going to put on this wall, so it's just out of the way. But then in this section here, I had all of our controls, our sprinklers, our temperature, and all that stuff for these ranges back here. So I decided that it would look cleaner just to have the white steel continue all the way through instead of going to a different color and do wood there. So I ended up moving everything over here so that way it can be in one spot that's in an easy accessible height for anybody to get, because I originally didn't have much space. So I started going up, and going up you had to go get a step stool to do stuff manually. So with all at a lower height, everything can be done however it needs to be by anybody. So these two, there's two different colored Bartletts, because the green ones are climate bosses that are doing like the temperature throughout the greenhouse. So it'll detect, okay, it's at 40 degrees, okay, the heat has to kick on, or it decides the fans have to be on, or if the vents and that stuff has to be on as well. But then the red one tells us the temperature and the wind speed outside to see if rough vents and stuff have to be overridden to not go up or down, so that way you don't have a vent that gets blown off in a really windy day.
So they have to work together.
Yep, so that they all work together on getting everything to where it's supposed to be. And then this one here is just our manual box for our side curtains. So that way they're all, don't have to be hand cranked up, they're all on motors, but then it talks with these and this tells it when it has to go up or down.
So how much time did that save you by not having to crank them?
Well, I'd say that our growers, so like Ben and Alyssa, and then even my dad, sometimes my brother and I, but not terribly often, when we go around, there's probably 20 to 30 different roll-ups we'd have to do, and now that they all just kind of do it themselves, it's not just in the morning roll it up and at night roll it down. It tells you in the middle of the day that if it wants to go down, it'll do it by itself. So that way it's more climate controlled instead of one temp all day.
And it saves you how much time?
Oh, time, it would probably save an hour or two.
So today we had a pretty big concrete pour. They had to do this with a pumper truck because there was just so much and not a lot of access. So that was kind of interesting to see. But this just recently got smoothed out and is at the setting up point. I think it's at probably a perfect point. I could probably etch my name in here. Problem is, if I do, Rod is going to kill me. So I best not monkey with his concrete, because it would make him a little bit angry. Tomorrow, this whole area here is going to get poured, and this will probably be the biggest pour that we've done to date. So a lot of drains and stuff that they gotta work around. But where the problem's been is with all the snow that we've gotten over the last week and a half, it's kind of set up in the greenhouse here above the roof, and as it's melting, it's finding little ways through that roof there and dripping. Well, we didn't want it dripping on the concrete because then you'll have funky little marks and such that will end up on the concrete. So we had to wait until all the snow was melted out from up there to be able to do the pour. So hopefully we're good. And today it's been a very drip free day, so that's a good thing. So hopefully tomorrow, even though we're getting rain currently, hopefully tomorrow those drips continue to stay away. But this is going to be a really big day for the guys. They've got a big team coming in, and I understand they even are bringing in some different type of equipment to get it all smoothed out and to get the job done. So we'll try to give you updates on that as well. But yeah, excited for all that's currently going on here. One last thing I wanted to show you in today's video is right now we are in a greenhouse that is running at about 65 degrees. So these are more of our plants that are more tropical based and or like it really warm. So we really can't plant these and keep them cool and then wake them up. These, once they're planted, they need to stay warm. So the plants that are in front of me, these are popcorn plant, a really gorgeous tropical plant. In addition, we have some of our Kimberly ferns kind of sitting here on the ground. Some are planted, some are waiting to get planted into hanging baskets. And then as we walk down a little further, you'll see we've got some beautiful alocasia. This is actually a new alocasia that Proven Winners will be introducing, and I'm not sure if it's a 24 or 25 introduction, but something that we're doing right now, trialing, and they're absolutely gorgeous, very large leaves. So far I'm very happy with the trial that we're doing on these alocasia. But as we continue to move down, you'll see all of these little plug trays that we have. And this year, I mean, I'm sure many of you who've watched our videos for a while, you know that we have a butterfly house here at Garden Crossings where we raise monarch caterpillars and butterflies. So this year we are seeding over 20 different varieties of milkweed. There might even be 25. I didn't even know there was that many varieties. So many of these varieties, we had to keep them cold for a certain amount of time. And now just in the last week, we're starting to turn the temperatures on to wake these little seedlings up. So as we take a closer look, you can see the seeds just kind of setting there on top of the soil. We would come through every day with a misting hose and just give them a light mist. And now it's been about a week or so, and we're starting to see some growth. So let me just kind of walk down here and find some that are starting to sprout. Rod came in my office earlier today and said, "Heidi, they're starting to wake up." So I'm trying to find what he was seeing. There we go. A little bit of green there, just starting to sprout. So again, not a whole lot of growth yet, but it's just encouraging to see that they went through the proper cold dormancy and are now starting to sprout and wake up. So it's going to be interesting. There's so many varieties here that I have never heard of before, and it'll just be interesting to see the different foliage types. They've got a lot of different textures going on the foliage, a lot of different flower colors. So this is kind of a fun experiment that we're experimenting this year with. I'm not sure yet if these are going to be our in-store retail local exclusive varieties, or if we'll be offering them online at some point. So we'll keep you updated if they do go live on the website. But for now, we're just excited to see how they're just slowly starting to wake up. Thanks for watching today. If you have any questions or comments on anything that you've seen in this video, please feel free to leave it below. And additionally, if you have any questions, I love getting questions. And if we can take you through the greenhouses to get them answered, that's even more fun as well. If you're new to our station, we invite you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.